waters of the Sea of Cortez, far below the sunlit surface, lurks a creature the locals call the Red Devil. It is armed and dangerous. Its writhing limbs come equipped with 1,000 suckers, each full of flesh-tearing teeth. These devils come in the dark of night, rising from the abyss to within a few hundred feet of the surface. They are large, aggressive, in-your-face squid called the Humboldt. They're one of the most formidable predators in the ocean, and almost nothing is known about them. To cameraman Bob Cranston, the Humboldt have become an irresistible challenge. He's one of the few who descended into their midst, at depths where others fear to follow. But his last encounter was a close call. It was 3 years ago in these very waters. Bob's goal was to film these beasts up close in the open ocean. The usual white filming lights create a circle of light that acts like a wall, keeping the squid at bay. So Bob descended with red lights that diffuse almost immediately. Suddenly, the squid were too close. For an instant, it seemed they would tear him apart. It was an intense encounter that only fueled his fascination for the Humboldt.
They came right for me with no fear. That got my adrenaline going. Suddenly, I was really interested in everything about these guys. I wanted to meet more of their kind.
Squid and their relatives live in every ocean. Getting to know the family will take Bob on quite a journey. And if diving with red devils is anything to go by, you'll need the help of some top-notch guides. Bob begins his quest far to the north, in the dark, cold waters of the Pacific Northwest. In the maze of bays and inlets along the coast of British Columbia, there dwells the giant of its kind, but it's secretive and very hard to find. Bob's asked Dr. Peter Ward for help. Peter is a paleontologist and an expert on the origins of this creature. He has decades of experience in these waters, and there's no substitute for local knowledge.
So Bob, I got some maps of the underwater area we're going to go see tomorrow.
Cool.
And the nice thing about this, these are really high quality side scan sonars, and they give images in great detail. From these, we can pick out caves or dens, really, where the creatures that we seek can be found.
Face to face with my camera.
Whatever.
Bob's been filming underwater for more than 30 years. He's one of the best at very difficult diving.
It's a rebreather, a closed circuit rebreather. The CO carbon dioxide is pulled out, add a little oxygen, it comes back and you breathe it. Same as the guys who walked on the moon.
Fantastic.
It's really cool. I can stay down there with the creatures and film them for as long as I can stand the cold.
The water registers 47 degrees. Without a dry suit, a diver could slip into unconsciousness from the cold in just half an hour.
Waterproof zipper. Same zipper they use in spacesuits. Only in a spacesuit, I think they pressurize it. In this suit, you get vacuum packed. Get all these fancy lights. I think that one means low. Getting a little warm. Get in the water soon.
These gloomy green depths are called the Emerald Sea, and although cold, they are rich in oxygen and nutrients. The combination allows creatures to reach enormous size. Down at 60 feet, Bob and Peter pick up a trail of broken and discarded shells. A dead giveaway. Something strong and very hungry has come this way, and often. The crab should show more caution. It's up against a devious and determined predator. As Bob approaches, his quarry appears to have found him. A giant Pacific octopus. 8 arms of sinewy muscle lined with grasping suckers reach out. Explore the strange intruder. A giant can reach 20 feet from arm tip to arm tip and weigh in at 200 pounds. It's the largest octopus in the great clan called the cephalopods, the group that unites the octopus and squid. It's an ancient tribe, the first large predators in the sea. To this curious female, we're a brand new species. Cephalopod means head-footed, a good beginning in deciphering the octopus's amazing design. The head and body are encased in a large, soft sac, and the foot, derived from its distant relatives, the clams and snails, has become a siphon, a water jet to propel it in any direction. A long time ago, its ancestors were a shell, but the octopus has given that up. Yet for creatures with such tasty flesh, the lack of protection presents a problem. The cephalopod solution? The most extraordinary skin in the animal kingdom. In an instant, it can change color, pattern, and texture. And with no bones to confine its shape, the creature can virtually disappear. Another female lies sequestered in her den, tending to her brood of eggs. She lays up to 100,000 just once in her life. When they hatch, she will die. These clever, curious creatures won't live long at all. Their entire lifespan is no more than 3 or 4 years. The transparent babies are no bigger than a grain of rice, but within a year, they'll be giants. While the lives of these complex beings are all too brief, their line reaches back 500 million years, long before sharks began swimming the seas.
This would be a great spot right in here.
Peter Ward has spent 35 years delving into cephalopod family secrets. He's brought Bob to a special outcropping of rocks. They were once well submerged in a much warmer sea and still hold a record of that long ago time.
Fossils are found in these rocks, fossils of relatives of the octopus, actually. They're called ammonites. And how old are they? 80 million years in age? 80 million years.
Yes, sir.
That is old.
Back in those days, cephalopods made beautiful curved shells.
If you dig long enough and hard enough, you can find some beautiful stuff. This is ammonite. It's a fossil that is actually the direct ancestor of octopus, an ancient cephalopod. It's related to the chambered nautilus, so the tentacles sat here and swam about.
A shell is a mobile home and a defense against predators, but it's so cumbersome it makes swimming difficult. Of the almost 1,000 kinds of cephalopods alive today, only the nautilus still wears one. It's a living fossil, puffing along the reefs of the Indo-Pacific as though nothing has ever changed. Bob returns for one last dive with the octopus.
I couldn't resist bringing her a treat. All cephalopods are carnivores, and they love crabs. This creature actually reached out to me. I could sense her interest, her intelligence. I could see it in her eyes.
There's something about the eyes of these animals just draw human observers in, and especially with the octopus and the cuttlefish, they definitely make visual eye contact with you and maintain it.
Dr. John Forsyth studies these creatures' amazing physiology and complex behaviors.
And I've come in and played games with octopus where I'll duck down and they'll raise up and look at me, and then I'll raise up and they'll duck down, and this will just go on for 15 or 20 minutes. Like this guy, I can barely see him over there, but when I look up, you know, see, he's coming up. Because I think they look for our eyes. I think they try to make contact with our eyes as well. And I think that's what draws us into watching these animals. Whereas a fish, sometimes I look at a fish and I'm not sure where it's looking. They just have these blank, cold stares. But with a cephalopod, it's really never like that.
At the National Resource Center for Cephalopods in Galveston, Texas, John maintains quite a collection. There are several kinds of octopuses, a school of small squid, and another relative, the cuttlefish. For John, the eyes of a cephalopod are not just the windows to its soul. They tell you a lot about how the animal lives. The octopus has a rectangular pupil that captures light reflected off the sea floor. Squid's large round eyes are adapted to seeing darting prey in the twilight of the open ocean. Cuttlefish dwell in both worlds, and their complex eyes can actually change shape to accommodate their travels. But it's not in their eerie eyes that cephalopods reveal their inner feelings. It's in their remarkable skin. Millions of tiny sacs of pigment called chromatophores dot their skin, each controlled by minute muscles. With a little flexing, a cephalopod can flash with rippling bands of color. Any sort of excitement, danger, desire, aggression, passion, and their skin lights up. For creatures with no vocal abilities at all, this is the way they communicate, in a language of light and color. And like an octopus, a cuttlefish can transform its texture, matching its surroundings, hiding in plain sight. Given their camouflage capabilities, it's no wonder we're still learning just how many kinds there are. One of the hotspots for new discoveries is the narrow Lembah Strait off North Sulawesi in the island chain of Indonesia.
It's a pretty scenic spot.
John and Bob have come here looking for new species of cephalopods. It's a place primed for strange adaptations. In the shallow, warm water, light and temperatures remain constant, but the channels, inlets, bays, and separate habitats, and that leads to high diversity. This is John's fourth trip to Lembah Strait, and each time something surprising turns up. He's brought Bob to a spot called Ritaklari, which in local slang means the muck. At first glance, it's a vast, flat disappointment. But wait here quietly, and a lot of what looks like sand begins looking back. From the still of the muck to the roaring straits, a lot of effort goes into not standing out. Drifting reeds are actually floating razorfish. And the end of a few branches turn into ornate ghost pipefish. Out in the high-speed tides and swirling eddies, fish work hard to keep their footing, digging into the bottom with spine-like fins. But even creeping along on the seafloor, you still have to make a living. A harmless-looking weed rolling in the current is a hairy frogfish trolling for a meal. Equipped with its own strange lure. Sand offers the best retreat, but the crab has already been spotted. A marginated octopus is the perfect little predator here. Good camouflage, good eyesight, good grip. Soft-bodied octopus has one more weapon up its sleeve to subdue the crab's claws: venom. It finds a chink in the crab's armor, injects a neurotoxin, and the struggle is over. In such an open setting, the trick for every creature is to find some place to hide. An octopus fits in just about anywhere, and John finds one tucked into a piece of discarded pipe. Perhaps there is something in cephalopod memory that recalls having a shell. Bob and John find this little octopus ambling along with a dark brown bottle tucked under his arms.
The bottle turned out to be his home, and he took it with him everywhere. So I thought I'd offer him a new fancy place and see if he's interested in trading spaces. I began to worry he might get confused by this clear glass and wouldn't remember how to get back out. But after a few minutes, he slipped through the opening and went straight back to his old brown bottle. He'd made his choice. I think the clear glass was a little too bright, and besides, there's no place like home, especially when you can take it with you.
In the husks of old coconut shells, they find the pearl-like eggs of one of John's favorite creatures. It's a tiny cuttlefish that's seldom seen after it hatches. It remains so small and well camouflaged that it takes great practice to find it. Down on the sea floor, it appears to walk across the bright stones. Its rippling colors